Well, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. This is Eliyahu coming to you live from beautiful Banning, California. If you're watching us by HaRuachEliyahu channel or EliyahuChannel.com or EaglesHavenMinistry.com or coming in live by stream this today, we just welcome you, all the Mishporka, all the house of Israel coming back in, all the Ger, that they feel like strangers are now fellow citizens, grafted into the house of Israel, and all the Goyim, the sojourners, that have gone through a long journey, seeking the truth and being grafted into the house of Yahuwah. We give praise and honor to Him and the opportunity to come before you today and to just celebrate Shabbat with you. I mean, it's wonderful to celebrate with you this Shabbat and be able to come into your home. So I bid you Shabbat Shalom in this 12th month on the 26th day, Shabbat. Hallelujah. So, which in Hebrew we would call it actually the 12th month Shataim Kodesh. Ha-Shataim Kodesh. As we begin, we always show you the words that we do not use, words to share with you of the truth, of the right language to use. We're always finding more and more ways, cleaning ourselves up in the house of Yahuwah. And I just want to thank you for allowing me to come into your homes, or watching in a tablet, whatever way you're watching, or listening by CD, or watching by DVD. And the background's different because I'm in the studio of Eagles Haven in the upper room in beautiful California. So, which now it's very cold, but it's nice and sunny. Praise Yah, hallelujah. So, what we're going to teach today is, like, we went through the yoms, the days of the week that have pagan deities. Of the pagan deities, we did that in the first, and then after that we shared about the months. Now in the months, when I did the pagan Greco calendar months, I did not share with you the Hebrew correct words, because this is going to take a lot of time. And of course, before I begin, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to share some scriptures and get the revelation understanding. To have a blushing conscience, we need to have a pure, blushing conscience of who we are in Yahuwah. And we want to know for sure that we are understanding the word, the Torah. Now I'm going to read from the ISR, and we're going to start we're actually going to begin in Shemot, Exodus 23:13. And it's, again, I shared this last time. I'm going to repeat it again because I found so many people that are of the house of Israel that have a problem of having blushing, continued conscience. They have more reverence, and they call the fear of God, than they have the reverence of Yahuwah and respect His name. And it's because it's so darkenated into us and assimilated into us because of the fact that all these pagan words have been brought to us by a boat through the King Amos version, through the times of the 13 colonies of the United States, as they taught people how to read and write through the King Amos Bibles. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and begin in Exodus 23:13. And in all that I have said to you, take heed and make no mention of the name of the other mighty ones. Let it not be heard from your mouth. Get this down in your ruach, that we're exercising to practice. If we slip, slumber, fall, fine, but we're exercising. The Father knows our hearts, truly knows our hearts, that we're trying to exercise and practice to be, as the Feast of Dedication we just finished of Hanukkah or Hanuk, to be dedicated and practice, initiated person to move up in purity and truth in our tongues. In Deuteronomy, which is Debrahim, in 12:13, and you shall break down their altars and smash their pillars and burn their Asherim groves with fire, and you shall cut down their carved images of their mighty ones or deities, and shall destroy the name out of that place. Of course, the footnote is, again, it's going back to also, it says here, the names of the Goyim deities, the mighty ones. Do not do so to your aloha. All right, so now, it says not just to break down their images and their idols, but to literally destroy their names. And if you got an idol that they dig up in archaeological research and they put a name on it, and they research and find the name, and then they resurrect it, and then they put it in a museum. That's why I have that video of pagan idols in plain sight in the Jerusalem Museum on YouTube, is to let people know that they have allowed it. They put it up in a pedestal, and they put it in steps high up with lights, and they magnify that idol once again when it should have been crushed into powder. In Yirmiyahu, in Jeremy, we're going to read chapter 12, verse 15. And it shall be, after my plucking them out, I shall return and have compassion on them and bring them back, everyone to his inheritance and everyone to his land. And it shall be, if they learn well the ways of my people, to swear by my name, as Yahuwah lives. Are you swearing by his name? I know in Christianity, in the Christian community, they tell this false information that we should not swear based on some scriptures in the Brit Hadasha, but the problem is they don't realize that in the original Greek and the original Hebrew is to swear falsely. Do not swear falsely in his name. And we're not going to swear falsely in his name. We're going to swear truthfully. I swear by the name of Yahuwah, my Elohim, that I will serve him and love him the rest of my life. I swear by Yahuwah, my Elohim, that me and my house shall serve him. I swear by Yahuwah, my Elohim, that my children and my children's children shall know his name and his son's name and the Torah right rules. So it is a covenant vow. It's a good swear. And we're not doing it falsely, and we're not doing it in vain. Okay? And all Yehudi do this. They know how to do this. And all throughout the scriptures in the Tanakh, David and all the Hanavi, you'll see them swear by his Shem. As they taught my people to swear to B-A-L-L-O-R-D, then they shall be established in the midst of my people. So we're going to swear by the name as Yahuwah lives, not L-O-R-D lives, not, which is B-A-L. Okay? Then they shall be, and if you know his name and you swear by his name and you stand by his name and you live by his name, you shall be established in the midst of his people, Israel. But if they do not obey, I shall pluck up, and destroy that nation. So he's going to plug them up, double portion there, and destroy that race or nation, declares Yahuwah. So we need to move forward. You know, I forgot to put it in a bigger screen, so let me do that. Okay. And let's go to the next one. And Oshua 23:6. And you shall be very strong to guard and to do all that is written in the book of the Torah of Mosheh, so as not to turn aside from it right or left. In other words, you do not waver, you do not compromise. I know we are in the pagan feast days of Christo Misa, okay, and they're getting happy, the deity happy, and the spirit of happy, and the spirit of joy. That's another spirit. These are deities. You can look at that video I have, Pagan Idols in Plain Sight in the Jerusalem Museum. They have the deity's crescent ring of the mighty one, that the high priest of those pagan deities that worship the deity joy, and they get happy, right, instead of simcha. Okay, we don't want to turn to the right or left, so as not to go in among these nations or races, these who remain among you, and make no mention of the name of their mighty ones. Make no mention of the name of their mighty ones, nor swear by them, nor serve them, nor bow down to them, but cling to Yahuwah your Elohim, as you have done to this Yom. And for Yahuwah has driven out from before you great and strong nations. As for you, no one has stood against you to this Yom. Verse 10. one man of you put 1,000 to flight, for Yahuwah your Elohim is he who is fighting for you, as he has promised you. Verse 11, and you shall diligently guard yourself to love Yahuwah your Elohim. If you love him, you'll take the pagan mighty ones out of your mouth. You'll exercise and practice the clean, correct words in English or Hebrew. Okay? And you'll be a testimony. And if you do not swear to the other false mighty ones, and you do not mention the name of the other mighty ones, because all truth is parallel, but you swear to Yahuwah only and serve him only, and you cleave to him only, and you do not bow down or serve none of those things. Okay, that's going on this Yom, this month. Okay, that's going on this day, also this Yom. You do not be partake of it. He will allow you to be that you will drive out before you the great and strong nations, and one will put 1,000 to flight. That is the promise if you keep his name and swear by his name and do not mention the name of other mighty ones. I know in the Christian community they like to quote those scriptures, that you could drive out the evil and the sin and all that stuff, and that you could put 1,000 to flight, but they don't know the right rule protocol from verse 6, 7, and 8, and also in verse 11, in order to put them to flight. And we're going back to Shemot, Exodus chapter 34, starting from verse 10. And he said, see, I am making a covenant before all your people. I am going to do wonders such as you have not been done in all the earth, have not been done in all the earth, nor any nation. And all the people among whom you are shall see the work of Yahuwah. For what I am doing with you is awesome. Guard what I command you today, the Hayom. See, I am driving out from before you the Amorite, the Canaanite, the Hittite, the Perizzite, the Hivite, and the Jebusite. You're driving out all those denominations of the harlot daughters of Christianity from the Catholic Church. You're going to drive all those religious spirits out. And guard yourself. Guard yourself. Verse 12. Lest you make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land where you are going, lest you be a snare in your midst, break down their altars and smash their pillars and cut down their asharim, for you do not bow yourself to other mighty ones. For Yahuwah, whose name is jealous, is a jealous mighty one. Verse 15, lest you make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, and they whore after their mighty ones, and slaughter to their mighty ones. What do you think they're going on? They're having a feast. They're having swine's flesh called ham. They're barbecuing. They're mixing all the unclean things, and they're having a feast of celebration on what they call Christo Misa, Christmas, which mass means Misa, which means depart from me. And Christ supposed to be anointing, so they're saying that the anointing depart from me. And people don't even realize they're saying that Catholic word. So they're slaughtering to other mighty ones. They're slaughtering to the birthday of Mithras, the son of the God, spirit of Dios. Okay, they're slaughtering to that and celebrating his birthday. They're not celebrating Yahushua date of birth, which is on the Feast of Tabernacles. No, they're not slaughtering between September and October and celebrating. When we celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles, we can remember his Hayom at that time of his celebration. But they're slaughtering to Mithras, the Constantine sun deity that he worshiped. And one of them invites you to eat of his slaughtering. What do you think eat of his slaughtering is? That is a barbecue. And then they invite you. It's telling you what not to do. And you take of his daughters, you go there with your children and wife and family, and you mingle, mix, and they check out your sons, and your sons check out their daughters, and his daughters go and they get married, and they whore after their mighty ones, and make your sons whore after their mighty ones. Do not make a molten mighty one for yourselves. No idols like those Christmas trees. Okay. Deuteronomy, or what we say, Devarim, chapter 7, verse 6. For you are a Kodeshim, Tamadim, people of Yahuwah, your Elohim, Yahuwah, your Aloha. For he has chosen you to be a people for himself, a treasure possession above all the peoples of the face of the earth. Verse 7. Yahuwah did not set his love on you nor choose you because you were more numerous or because you're good looking or you because of a certain race, ethnic background. No, than any other people. For you were the least of all people. Yes, we're the least of all people. Verse 8. But because Yahuwah loving you and because of him guarding the oath which he swore to your fathers, Yahuwah has brought you out of a strong hand and redeemed you from the house of bondage. The house of bondage of all the pagan sorceries of Christianity and all the religious spirits, or wherever you come from. Some have come out of Islam and then know Yahuwah. Some have come out of different Christian denominations and know Yahuwah. Some came out of not believing in nothing and know Yahuwah. From the hand of Pharaoh, sovereign of Misraim. Verse 9. And you shall know that Yahuwah, your Aloha, he is Aloha, and the trustworthy mighty one, guarding covenant and kindness for 1,000 generations with those who love him and those who guard his commandments. If you guard his commandments, you will serve him and obey what the scripture says, not to mention the name of other mighty ones. Okay? You will guard his commandments and you will serve him. And you will not mention the name of other mighty ones no more. All right? This is the word. This is the Torah. The right rule. These scriptures, not to mention their name, not partake of them, destroy their images with their name, get them out of your house. All the trees, the pagan trees with their pagan little balls and the silver and white, silver and gold lining, which all pagan things of evil iniquity. And so we need to remove these things from our high altogether. Remember. Now, I repeat this for these particular, what I'm teaching you, because I want you to know for sure, to have blushing conscience, is to exercise a practice and be a person like Hanuk, be a person like Hanukkah. We're rededicating or having a New Year's resolution. We're rededicating, to be initiated, to practice, to exercise, to put to practice, and to start teaching others to practice too. This understanding of these pagan days and months of each week. Now we're going to go to this, as you're seeing here, this is the months, according to the Babylon Talmud of Israel, returned in 350 BCE. They say it, that they returned in 350 BCE from Babylon captivity back to Jerusalem with the pagan Babylon calendar as it is today. Ha-Yom, today. Ha-Yom, I'd rather use Ha-Yom. If you look on top, right dead on the top, you'll see Nisanu. All right, so now that's the first day. This is a pagan calendar. Many of these words I'm going to show you that are in the Jewish civil calendar today, that Messianics, that Christians, that Jews use. Unless you're a part of the set apart ones from a certain tribe in Israel that don't use these pagan words, but they use these pagan months as a celebration. This was inherited lies from the forefathers that came back from Babylon, and it slipped through the cracks and came in. But the authenticity of the origin of the original, what we call the Paleo Hebrew and the original, has always been in there, is the Ketav Ivrit, Paleo Hebrew. So, as its original, they only use a number system, as we're going to show you. But this is the calendar that's Babylonian, and this is the calendar that's being used for the pagan deities of Babylon as well. Jewish civil pagan Babylon calendar, or the calendar of Torah. First month, Kodesh. Nisan or Nisanu is Bel Baal. It is not Kodesh. All right? It is not good. But this is the month they use. Nisan or Nisanu is Bel Baal, which we know who it is one of the five deities of Baal. The number one chief deity of Babylon worship on the first month of the year. Bel Baal Nisanu. Bel, encountering the dragon from Babylonian cylinder that they took a picture of and drew out, okay, rolled it and made a picture of it showing you. Nisan, the first week of this month was the Babylon New Year's celebration. This is a speculation or facts. But it seems likely that this is where the idea of Nisan as the beginning of the year comes from. Pre-Babylonian exile, the months of the Israeli or Jewish year were numbered rather than named. And the numbering started in the spring. Yet now Nisan is called the new year for the months. And Tishri in the new year for the year. In the Babylonian calendar, Nisan is the beginning of the year and of the first half year. Tishri was the beginning of the second half year. That these months are both considered new years in the Jewish calendar today is too much of a coincidence that they're using both of them. And these are pagan deities too. Bel, known as Baal in Israel, is one of the 5 Baal deities names, which means Lord, and refers to Marduk, first among the deities in the Babylon calendar. Okay, so I'm mentioning these words to you, and I'm going to show you some archaeological photographs, drawings, and some are real archaeological stones in museums of these pagan deities, because I want you to understand, just like I showed you the pagan deities of the Greek and Roman, for the Gregorian calendar, the Julius Caesar calendar. So understand that first among the deities of the Babylon calendar, the latest Persian pantheon, okay, Bel Marduk has the distinction of being both of the most vilified deity in the Tanakh. I don't know why the Talmud, oral, rabbinical Jews are doing this, but they inherited lies from their forefathers, and I believe many of them know the truth, that the calendar people buy in Israel, the people get in the Messianic movement, and the calendars of other people, they're using these pagan words. Nisan, Bel, Baal. It is Baal, Lord. Correction in Hebrew. Rishon, or HaRishon Kodesh. HaRishon Kodesh. It is the first part of a 12 piece of a pie of 12 months in a year. 6 times in scriptures as Aviv or Abib Kodesh. So you can say HaRishon Kodesh for the first month, or you can say Abib Kodesh. You can also say that. Why? Because it's 6 times in the scriptures. That's why. And today you are going, and here's the quotation from the Exodus Shemot, chapter 13:4. There's 6 scriptures, but I'm only going to read one of them. Today you are going out in the month of Abib. That's the short verse of verse 14 of chapter 13. Also in these other verses, Abib is Hebrew number 24. This particular reference, I'm gonna go ahead and show you, Eshort. It's Hebrew number 24, and I'm gonna click it. It comes up. I make it bigger for you. Okay. As you can see in the screen. Okay. As you can see in the screen, it is Abib, green ears of corn. Okay. But as we go up, the meaning of Abib is meaning to be tender green. That is a young ear of grain. Hence the name of the month Abib, because that's part of one of the signs of that particular mark for the net year. Okay, so let's go back to. So the correct word to say the first month of the year is HaRishon Kodesh or HaAbib Kodesh. Both will be understandable, and there's a foundation scriptural. How could 6 times it be in the scripture? And many other times in the scriptures, I didn't even count the times it's called Rishon Kodesh, the first month on the 20-something day, the first month on the 10th day, on and on throughout the Tanakh. Okay, so why would they allow this pagan deity Nisan, which is related to Baal, which we say Lord in the Christian community? Okay, the second month, Ayar. It's a Babylon, in Babylonian, Ayaru, the bull or herd. Prosperity. In other words, it's a deity that brings prosperity because of the river of the Euphrates, of the Tigris, and it brings prosperity to all your animals to have a herd of cattle and the bulls. Presided over by Ea, the Babylon name for the earlier Sumerian deity Inca. And Inca is a real bad character. The deity of high, they say life. Originally, the deity of water, Inca is often depicted with the Tigris and Euphrates rivers flowing from his shoulder. And you can see it right here flowing over his shoulders onto the other side. Okay. He's got some palm branches. He's got a cone-in hat. You know, a little halo with a cone-in hat there. And let me put it on a larger screen so you can see it. So, and there's it in full screen. So you can see the little halo, the cone-in hat, and the river. They got fish flowing through it, him, and he is that deity. All right? And that is the second month, a pagan deity. Why use it? In 1 Kings, Malachim Aleph, chapter 6, verse 1 and verse 37, says the month of Zu, or Ziv. Ziv is Hebrew number 2099, the months of flowers or brightness. That's what Ziv means. A month of flower and brightness, because this is the second month of the year. But even though this is in the scriptures only twice in one book, it is questionable of it having a deity meaning also. But there is no evidence, and I tried my best. If you have any photographs of this pagan deity by the name coming under the disguise of Ziv or Ziv, okay, related to Hebrew number 2099 as a Babylonian pagan deity with an image, please share with me and I would change my teaching, my PowerPoint here. But until then, I have not found nothing yet. I searched and searched for hours and I could not find no image, because if I can't find an image or documentation of archaeological research from Babylonian deities, I just, okay, my hands go up. I'll just leave it like it is, because it does have a good meaning, the month of flowers and brightness. Sometimes things have a deity, but it doesn't, okay? But if you want, you don't have to say Ziv Kodesh, Ha-Ziv Kodesh. That's one way to say it, or you can say it correctly. Month is Kodesh, is, when you say it in Hebrew, is Sheni. So Hebrew number 8145, Sheni, meaning a second part. First part, second part. These are not the numbers. If I would say the numbers, it would be a Hutz, Ta'im, Shalosh, 1, 2, 3. Or if I would say the Yoms, it would be Yom Rishon, Yom Shini, Yom Shlishi, which some of the Yoms during the week of the 7 Yoms to the Shabbat, Shini is the same as the Yoms of the week. So the second day of the week is Yom Shini. The second day of the month is Ha-Shini Kodesh, or Kodesh Shini. Ha-Shini Kodesh, or Ha-Kodesh Shini, the second month. The third month, Sivan, Simanu. You would see all these U's with the pagan deity. This pagan deity of Babylon, Simanu, yeah, that's right, Simanu, Sivan, is a brick making presided over by sin. S-I-N is a deity. It matches very well when you tell somebody, oh, they're sinning. You're a sinner, because they're living, they're practicing the art of sinning, the deity of sin, which is a sinful action. All right, so it matches very well. Providing over by sin, the deity of the moon. After the conflictation of Semitic deity sin with the Sumerian deity Nana. Now, that's right, Sumerian deity Nana has nothing to do with the Nana, an aunt or grandmother in Spanish, okay, or in another language. But this deity is also related to Allah, the crescent moon and star. But this is the portion of the crescent moon, and then the luminary goes on top with the 5 points, which is Estara. So it's two deities connected together with the crescent moon and Astara. Okay? So now, interestingly, the main centers of the sin worship were and Haran. This is ancient Aramaic area or ancient Persian area. Both cities which could figure prominently in Abraham's story. The first as his birthplace and the second as his longtime adopted home. Okay? That was the deity you see. Found in the book of, I don't even like to say the word Esther because Esther is a pagan deity. Her real name was Hadassah, and so that was a real name found in the book of Esther. This book of Esther was written during the time of the Babylonian captivity, and there was even long years, I'm talking about 100 something years of discussion that this book should even put in the canonization of the Tanakh, of the brick of the Old Testament. They call it the Tanakh, because they don't even have the Father's name in it. That book of Esther doesn't even have Yahuwah in it. If you're a Christian, they won't have Lord in it. Okay, so they debated because they didn't have very much Torah understanding, right ruling. There's a few things in there that teach it, but not very much. And it was written during the Babylonian captivity, and chapter 8, verse 8 and verse 9. But remember, this was written during the Babylonian captivity, which verse reveals that it was the Babylon's sovereign scribe called it the third month, Sivan, after their pagan Babylonian calendar. So now, in verse of these two verses that mention the word Sivan, it mentions very clearly, you can search it later, do homework, that was the pagan, or should I say, the scribe of the Babylonian writing that month to describe the third month. What is the correct way? The correct way in Hebrew number 7969 is what we say, Shli, Shi, Lishi, Shilishi, 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 Kodesh, meaning third part of the 12 pieces of a pie. Okay? Third part. And also in Shalosh, if we would say in the number Shalosh, if we would say like Ahud, Sta'im, Shalosh, Arba, but if we would say the third day, it would be Shlishi, Shi, just like this for Yom Shlishi, but this will be Kodesh Shlishi, Shlishi, okay? So, Kodesh. And that's the proper way to say it. You can run this slower after you watch it, and you can practice it, write it down, take notes, take a picture of it, and put it in a file. Shlishi. And some say Shilishi, okay? Shilishi. And that is Hebrew 7969. And that's the Kodesh month, the third part, okay? The fourth part. Oh, man. I don't know how this can stay in the Jewish calendar. And they make these Babylon, Talmud, oral rabbis. I looked at the blogs. They make all these stories of how they tried to gravitate, assimilate, and root this word into Judaism. You're right. It's rooted in Judaism, but not into the house of Israel. The fourth month, Tammuz. Babylon, it's called Dumuzu. Dumuzu. Babylon, named for the deity known in Hebrew as Tammuz. Plain and simple. If I were to go back to that circle, you would see Tammuz there. Dumuzu. This month, to share its name with the deity. Originally the deity of vegetation, and later of the sun. Tammuz must spend 6 months a year in the underworld. A mythical explanation for winter. According to the myth, his wife, Inanna, descended to the underworld to visit her sister, Reshkigal. Once there, Inanna sat on her sister's throne and immediately became a corpse. To return to the world of the living, Inanna had to find someone to take her place in the underworld. Tammuz agreed to exchange herself for her, but had second thoughts and was hidden by his sister. Geshtinana. Demons were sent to find him and drag him to the underworld. Eventually, an arrangement was agreed to where Tammuz and Geshtinana each spent 6 months in the underworld. So they traded places. Tammuz, during which the summer solstice fell and the days began to get shorter, marked Tammuz's annual death and the descent to the underworld. It was a time of ritualistic mourning in the Ani. Tammuz's annual funeral was a week-long Babylonian, I don't want to say holiday, but they call it, that's what it is, holiday. Those are two pagan words. Holi and day are two pagan words, right? So it's the celebration of that month. According to Chazal, the name Tammuz was kept despite being the name of a pagan deity deliberately to remind us of the bad things that happened as a result of Avodah Zarah, as attesting to by the breach of Jerusalem's wall on the 9th of Tammuz. So even though this is a bad pagan deity of this 4th month, they know it. But they try to blend it, use blendism and mixture, which the Yahuwah, he hates mixture more than anything else, either hot or cold. You know, if you're lukewarm, he spits you out of his mouth. The disruption of the Avodah in the Bais HaMikdash on the 17th and the annual 3 weeks period starting on Sheva Asher Ba Tammuz, during which we observe the mourning rituals, and there is supposedly an increased danger of bad things happening. Of course there is. You're celebrating this pagan deity, as you see in your face right here in the image. There's a book there, Tammuz and Esther. Tammuz is the guy in the center, the female in Esther, or Esther is on the right, which is Slewfoot, and you got the two owls, which are Mason symbols as well. Okay. There is no reason to make up rabbinical Babylon Talmud, Hasidic, oral law stories to try to make this pagan tradition of Jewishness or Judaism a part of their calendar. Is it a coincidence, though, that there was a widespread tradition of mourning during Tammuz, which is mentioned? Tammuz is mentioned weeping for her children. He's talking about the sacrificial. What happens to a woman when she repeatedly commits abortion? The spirit of murder, because she didn't commit abortion, she committed murder. And it's a sacrifice to Tammuz, to sacrifice their children. They mourn inside. They don't know why they're mourning. They don't know why they have depression, anxiety, and stress. They don't know why the spirit of murder and violence is in them after they commit so many abortions. But that's the spirit of the sacrifice of casting their baby to fire for prosperity and abort their child, but it's really a murder their child. The Jewish people just happen to have their own independent reason for mourning and at the exact same time. Coincidence? Or is it more likely that we today are observing during Sheva Asher Be Tammuz? You're celebrating the pagan deity. There it is right there. And the 3 weeks of the last vestiges, of the ancient mourning rites or rituals for the annual death of Tammuz. Correction. Hebrew number 7243. Rebi'i Kodesh, or Ha-Kodesh Rebi'i. I put the first word is Rebi'i, the way it's spelled written in the Hebrew Latin letters of that 7243. Rebi'i is the phonetic breakdown of how to say it phonetically with the Latin letters, meaning a fourth part of 12 parts in a year, or a pi of 12, the fourth part. Okay, and in the number 4 is Arba. Arba is number 4 when you write in Hebrew, and Revi'i, Yom Revi'i, is the days, the fourth day, what they say Wednesday, but Yom Revi'i, it is also Kodesh Revi'i, or Revi'i Kodesh. Okay? The Babylon Talmud calls this month Omar. Is it in scriptures as a month? No. Omar Omer is 5 times in the scriptures, as Exodus 16:36 says, and an omer is 1/10 of an ephah. So it is a measuring. Why did it's 1/10, not 4/12? Okay, the fourth of 12 parts. All right, so I don't know why. It's because of the Omar, and I have a picture of the Omar right there. 49 steps of self-refinement, the Omar count. Okay, and I don't know why that tradition is marked, but it's paganism blend in, just like in Christianity with the Julius Caesar calendar. Here's a picture of Tammuz with a headband with crosses on it, cruces on it. Okay, which goes way back to Babylon. Okay, the 5th month called Abu, the Babylon Abu, fire, a deity of fire, Abu. Abu is, I've heard of that before. They even got skulls of this particular, they call a deity. Once human, they said. The skulls have these big sockets where eyes would go. So it's not exaggerated, they do that. Okay. And these are ancient Babylonian images, idols. The correct word would be Hebrew number 5249, Hamishi, and Hamishi is the 5th month, Kodesh, Kodesh, Hamishi. In Hebrew, we say Hamishi for Yom Hamishi. So it's Kodesh Hamishi for 5th part. The 6th month, Elu, was originally Ulu. In Babylon, Ulu. In Akkadian, it comes from a root meaning harvest. And also refers to the mission of the reigning deity of the month. Ishtar was the Babylonian fertility deity and shared a similar sounding name and near identical story and the powers with the Egyptian deity Isis and the Semitic Astarte. So using Elu, which is El, mighty one, Lu, El, mighty one, and then L-U-L, is the basis for creating so using Elu as the basis for creating Divrei Torah directly from the name of a Mesopotamian deity, but certainly it is the word that has nothing to do with the repentance and closeness to Yahweh. Mixture going on, and the Semitic Astarte, so using the basics of creating Divrei Torah directly from the name of a Mesopotamian deity. But certainly it is the word that has nothing to do with repentance and closeness to Yah. Elu is as best a straightforward name for the time of year, harvest time, and is as worse a reference to the role of a Babylonian fertility deity, was believed to play in the annual Agrarian cycle for this harvest time, also known as Easter, okay, or Estar. The 6th month Elu, found in the book of Nehemiah 6:15, but keeps in mind these scribes are the returnees to Israel from Babylon captivity, and only one time in the scriptures, the whole scriptures, in the Tanakh. Hebrew number 435, Elu, of a foreign derivation, Elu, the 6th Jewish month. Corrections now. Sheshi Kodesh, or Ha Kodesh Sheshi. Sheshi, like Yom Shishi, they say for Friday, but this is the month Kodesh Sheshi, meaning the 6th part. 7th month Teshari, Babylonian Tesharitu. Teshari in the Jewish calendar, Babylonian Tesharitu. Just like in that calendar I showed you in the beginning, that little sketch drawing without the deities, but it had all the names. These names are in that Babylonian calendar. Tesharutu, beginning. The beginning of the second half of the year of Babylonian calendar. Presided over by Shamesh, the Mesopotamian deity of the sun, and the likely origin of the Hebrew word Shemesh. But found in 1 Kings or Malachim Bet, chapter 8, verse 2, as the seventh month called Ethanim. It's also spelled Ethanim without a Y in Latin, but I could not find a deity to it. It is found in Malachim Bet, chapter 8, verse 2, as the seventh month called Ethanim, Hebrews number 388, and it means a permanent brooks of water all year long, continually water going. Seems to be a clean word in scriptures for the seventh month. It's only one time in the scriptures in Malachim Bet 8:2. But if anybody knows of any match to the word Ethanim, then please let me know. Text me, email, send me a picture, because I don't have a picture of that deity. I have the picture of Shamesh, the deity of the sun, okay, a Babylonian of the seventh month, but which is Tishari, basically Tisharitu, Shamesh relation. I don't have nothing for Ethanim, so I stand right now as it's clean until further noted. The correction is Hebrew number 7637, Sheb-i-i, Kodesh, or Kodesh Sheb-i-i. Kodesh Sheb-i-i. Ha Kodesh Sheb-i-i is the seventh part. That's what it means. The eighth month, Sheshevan, or March, Markahesh, or Sheshvan, Babylonian Arka Shamana, eighth month, presided over by Marduk. Marduk is a very popular deity. I'm going to show you a picture of it, but it's a very popular big deity in Babylon. He was very number one head guy. One of the guys, I have so many. Here going by his name rather than his title. Corrections. Found in scriptures only once in Zechariah chapter 1 verse 1 as Hebrew number 8066. And is Shemini Kodesh. Or you would say Ha Kodesh Shemini. Ha Kodesh Shemini. The eighth month. Ha the Kodesh month Shemini. Meaning eighth part of the year. The ninth month. Keslev, a Babylon deity. Keslumnu. Kishlim or Limnu. Kishlimnu or Kishlimnu. I don't know how the phonetics sound in Latin words for this Babylonian Aramaic word. Kishlev, Kishlimnu. Babylon, Kishlimnu, meaning uncertain. Presided over by Nergal, which is another popular deity. A deity of the sun as it appears during specific times of Yom and of the year. This is a war deity in the underworld, or war deity. Corrections would be found in scriptures only as in Yirmiyahu, Jeremiah, chapter 36:9 is an example. In other words, it is nowhere in the scriptures Kishlim. It's total Hebrew Babylon deity Kishlimnu. And the correct word is Tesh-i-i. Tesh-i-i. Or you would say for the ninth part of that year, the ninth month, Ha Kodesh Tesh-i-i. Ha Kodesh Tesh-i-i. Tesh-i-i Kodesh. Okay? The 10th month, Tevet. In the Jewish adopted pagan calendars, in their calendar, Babylon Tepetu, Tepetu, Tevetu, because the B and the vet, the aleph, vet, bet, almost the same, vet, bet, Tevetu, Tevet, the violent rain, presided over by Pop Sukal, the messenger deity, and here's a statue image of it, what's left of it, all decayed and rutted. Probably don't want to look at it anyways. As we see in scriptures found in Genesis, Bereshit, chapter 8, verse 5, Hebrew number 6224, it was always called throughout the Tanakh as Iri, as Iri, as Iri, Kodesh. Kodesh as Iri, Ha-Kodesh as Iri. The meaning the 10th part of the year, The 11th month, Shabbat, Babylon Shabbatu. Sounds like Shabbat, or Shabbatu, Sabatu. I think it's in the Philippines and other languages for the Sabbath, but this is Shabbatu, rain. Okay? This is the 11th month, Shabbat, Hebrew number 7627, Shabbat or Shabbat, of foreign origin, not originally Hebrew. That's right. Even when you look up the Hebrew number 7627 with the Hebrew letters, it reveals to you that it's not Hebrew origin. Found one time at Zechariah chapter 1, verse 7, another place in Zechariah where it's mentioning the Babylonian sovereign Darius as their Babylon calendar 11th month. So the scribe of the writer, the Israeli writer that returned back from Babylon was, he grew up with the pagan calendar, just like we grew up, inherited lives from our forefathers of the Gregorian and Julius Caesar calendar, the pagan calendar. But in the Torah, Mosheh only uses Deuteronomy Debraim, chapter 1, verse 3. In the Torah, Mosheh and the Tanakh do not use Shabbat. Only in the Tanakh of Zechariah 1:7 of them that do the diaspora that returned back from Babylon. Okay? In Hebrews number 62:49 is Ashteh, or you would say Ha-Kodesh Ashteh. Ha-Kodesh Ashteh Kodesh, meaning the 11th part. 12th month Adar. Babylonian Adar, that's right, Hardu, threshing time, presided over by Era, an Akkadian plague deity. This deity brought a plague during this time of the month, which could be winter and lack of food, also responsible for political confusion. So this causes a spirit of confusion. So when you're binding and loosing these spirits, and there's a spirit of confusion in the political realm, or in a group of a ministry, or in a group of leaders, the spirit of error, like error, a Akkadian deity, could cause a plague of confusion, perhaps like that's found in the Purim story, children's sacrifice also. This spirit of Adar demands, or Era demands, children's sacrifice. Adar or Atar Ninib is found 10 times in scriptures, 8 times in the book of Esther. I really like to call her Hadassah because that's her real name. The only reason they gave her that name Esther is for the queen of Estara, the pagan deity of Estara, is because when she won the beauty pageant, the most beautiful woman, he gave her a name of his pagan deity he loved and worshiped. So he named her after his pagan deity. Like some people might name their daughters Grace, which is a pagan goddess, or Faith, another pagan goddess, or other words that are pagan Greek goddesses. Well, this sovereign named Hadassah Esther, the pagan goddess he worshiped, along which is in chapter 3, verse 7, 8 times in that book alone, along which is recorded during the time of Israel's captivity in Babylon. It was recorded during captivity in Babylon, so they used that pagan deity month. Hebrew number 143, Adar, a foreign derivation. So, in other words, when you look up Hebrews number 143, they're telling you it's not Hebrew. It's a foreign word, perhaps meaning fire, Adar. The 12th Babylonian month, Adar. The correct word would be Hebrews number 8147, which is Shen'aim, Kodesh, Shen'aim. I also put Shetaim, because that's what I learned when I was in Israel from Ashkenazi. Shetaim, Kodesh Shataim, Ha Kodesh Shataim, Ha Kodesh Shataim, the 12th month. So you don't have this. Well, December, September, October, November, December, those 4 months in the Gregorian calendar are not pagan. They're actually numbers, but they're misnumbers for the numbers with the Julius calendar in Spanish or Latin. Okay, here's a consolidation of a roundabout of what the words are I just went through, of the correction of the Kodesh months in scriptures. You can't say Abib. You can't say Ha Kodesh Abib. People understand it's the first month. Okay. You can also say Ha Kodesh Rishon or Rishon Kodesh. You can also say Zu or Ziv, or you can say Ha Shini Kodesh or Kodesh Shini. Okay. You can say Omer, the Omer, and that everybody will know that's the 4th month. Or you can say Rebi'i Kodesh Rebi'i. You can say Ethanim. I don't hear people say Ethanim, but I looked it up in Hebrew. It's there, and so far now I haven't found nothing. Somebody help me about. I haven't found a deity matching that word. It's either EYTHANIM or ETH with skipping the Y and putting ETH. Okay, it still has the phonetic sound, and it's the correct. It's in Hebrew. It's there. It's in scriptures. It's once, but I can't find a deity match. I only like to go against when I find a deity match, or it's in print, in writing, or an image. Some of the deities are crushed to powder, are no longer existing, but there's a lot of them in the walls in Babylon and also in Rome and Greece and stuff like that. So here is, you can take a picture of this, you could go over this and continue to practice and exercise these correct Kodesh months in their 12 count. And you can use the 4 other words, or you could use the Hebrew numbers as it was in the Tanakh also. Okay? So I'm glad you're with me. I'm glad you stayed with me. Okay? That we return to a sound scriptural teaching and walk in the Torah. And we will keep the right rules of the house of Yahuwah. Hallelujah. And I thank you for tuning in, and I just want you to come to a revelation understanding to the fullest that we're going to destroy the pagan images and deities of ancient Babylon and Canaanites and Egypt and Rome and Greece. And we're going to get them out of our tongue, of our Latinized language that we're speaking that's not really English. No one has speak English since the year 1050. It ceased to exist. The runic, Father Fulong language that they coined it English, but it's actually Latin letters, phonetic sounds of an ancient language further back. So we're going to destroy this stuff. We're going back to our heritage as the house of Israel, being grafted into the house of Israel. We're untying ourselves from all the pagan traditions of men, and we're freeing our brethren and all the mishpoka and the aki that are tied up and want to be untied. Some people don't want to be untied. They don't like the way you untie. Some people come with a razor, some people come with a knife, some people come with just yanking and untie you, and you don't like it, but you need to be untied from the bondages of all the pagan things. And this was actually the Hebrew Messianic and Hebrew Jewish civil calendars use these pagan words. In Israel, I found not everybody uses all the pagan words in the Jewish calendar today. Okay, some of them come out of it and they freed themselves from it, and they come into the house of Israel, understanding revelation, to only use Torah. These are the people that lived in Israel and only speak that. But then the Babylon, Talmud, oral, ascetic, rabbinical stuff is in the house in Israel, bringing all this stuff in. And it's terribly sad. I thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. I pray you have a good shalom in your Shabbat. And you feast, enjoy yourself, enjoy your children, your grandchildren this weekend. As all the Christian community and all the other communities enjoy their pagan feast, we stay away from those pagan feasts, as I explained in the beginning. Thank you for watching us. We appreciate you. Oh, I don't want to forget, if you want to order the PDF I just shared with you, you asked me for the PDF of the Hebrew, or should I say the Jewish pagan calendar from ancient Babylon and the correct words. You ask me and I'll send it to you. If you want the Gregorian calendar days and weeks, I will send you that PDF so you can teach at home and others around you. And also you could take pictures and paste and post and learn the words and learn the different yoms and the different Kodesh months, the proper phonetic sounds. But if you want the replacement theology correction pamphlet, or if you want it in PDF, you mentioned you want it in PDF, or if you want it in hardcover copy. If you live in a far country, another country beside the United States, and postal service would be too high, you can ask me and I will paste you a link so you can get I can send you the template and you can print them up where you're at. All my stuff I give freely because I receive freely from Yahuwah, and I want everybody to start teaching PowerPoints in their home. And it's real easy to start teaching PowerPoints before you start ministering and memorizing by heart. But you could go to eagleshavenministry@yahoo.com and put down your full name and address of where you want me to mail it to you, or the email address where you want me to link it to you in PDF or Word PowerPoint. Okay? Now also, anything else, if you want my wife's CDs, you want her music, you want any other CD you see on YouTube, you mention to me and I will send you a CD or a few, all for free. If you want to give to this ministry, Eagles Haven Ministry, HaRuachEliyahu channel, EliyahuChannel.com, you go to eagleshavenministry.com and you see the PayPal there and you post it. And I could use the finances in order to re-give to others for free. But everything I sent, I give it to free. I don't solicit. So you have a good Yom in this Shabbat and celebrate Shabbat Shalom to everybody.